Hello and welcome. My name is Liz Mauricio and I am a neurologist at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida, and I'm also the neurology program director here on campus. We are very excited to host you this evening. I will be your MC for this event, and we are excited to share with you all that Mayo Clinic in Florida has to offer. And this is our first ever virtual residency open house. So first, I just want to thank all of our guests tonight. We're very excited to have you. We've had over 650 people register for tonight's event, and these are people coming from all across the country and all around the world, really. So we are very excited. Tonight, we have a lineup for you to cover all the hot topics of residency life today. We're going to start with Dr. Johnson to give us a nice overview. At the end of, after our last speaker, we will share with you a virtual tour of our campus. That will be about 10 minutes long. And then after that, if there's any time remaining, we will answer any questions you might have. So if you do have questions as we go along, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and type them in. So if we have time at the end, we'll get to those. If we run out of time, save your questions for your breakout session. The breakout sessions will immediately follow this general session, and we will put the links for those breakout sessions in the chat function there. So if you tap on the chat button on the bottom of your screen, you will see all of the links to join your breakout sessions. So without further ado, I will introduce our first speaker, Dr. Margaret Johnson. She's a pulmonary and critical care physician here at Mayo Clinic in Florida, and also the Dean of Education here on our Florida campus. Dr. Johnson? You're muted.
Thanks, Liz. So that's the first time tonight we've heard you're muted. Hopefully it'll be the last. It's a great opportunity to welcome all of you in this unique 2020 style to Mayo Clinic, Florida. As Liz mentioned, my name is Margaret Johnson. I'm a pulmonary critical care doc here, but also more relevant to tonight's conversation is I'm the Dean of Education. And it's in this role that I help oversee all of our educational programs, most specifically our GME residencies and fellowships. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I'm sure, like me, you have spent more hours on Zoom than you ever would have imagined possible. So I really appreciate you choosing to Zoom with us tonight. I'm very excited to introduce you to our community here at Mayo Clinic, Florida. And I don't use the word community lightly. We truly are a community, and we would welcome you to join our community. I joined the staff at Mayo Clinic, Florida 24 years ago. At the time I was invited to interview, I knew absolutely nothing about Mayo Clinic. I didn't even know Mayo Clinic was in Florida. I did know where Florida was, but I had no idea Mayo was there. Ever since those first days I've stepped foot on this campus, I have just been consistently blown away by the relationships, the experiences, and the opportunities this institution has afforded me and affords others. I am just beyond humbled to be part of this place. I'm not sure that my words can adequately illustrate all of this, but I'm going to do my best to capture for you the Mayo magic, what really is our spirit that sets us apart. Before I go any further, I would like to ask all of you to pause and just think about the journey that has gotten you to this point tonight. After navigating a road that undoubtedly has seemed endless and almost always uphill, you are only a few months away from the incredible privilege of being a physician and being able to care for patients. This is an incredible gift and an incredible accomplishment on your part. Please take time to acknowledge all that you have done so far. It is very impressive. I clearly remember trying to choose where to do my residency, and it's hard, and it's obviously consequential. I imagine all of you have had days where you felt this decision just seems incredibly overwhelming. Hey, you're obviously smart people. Trust your internal judgment, trust your wisdom, and you'll make the right decision. Although I know you're all looking at specific programs here tonight, there are some constants about Mayo that are incredibly important to consider, in my opinion. Mayo only succeeds and has become who we are by our unfailing commitment to our primary value: the needs of our patient come first. Our values are not just written on a wall or put in a brochure. They are intrinsic to who we are, and they guide all that we do. Our values are without a doubt our North Star. And it's our values that create a culture that allows each individual to bring their authentic self to work. Being able to do that fosters an environment where you can optimize your learning, optimize your growth, and optimize your potential. Our values create a culture of expecting and demanding excellence and teamwork in all that we do, most importantly for our patients. I strongly, strongly encourage you to seek out these qualities as you look at all of your residency options. Mayo Clinic is a community of learners and innovators. Our environment is one of inquisitiveness, inquiry, and lifelong learning. This appreciation for continuous learning dates back to our founders, Will and Charlie Mayo, over 150 years ago. Will and Charlie were notorious for traveling around the world to enhance their own skills and subsequently inviting others to come to the Mayo Clinic in Rochester to learn from them. That spirit of inquiry, which they began when the clinic started, truly characterizes our organization at all levels. And it's through this lens of inquiry that we clearly see how valuable graduate medical education and all of you, our future residents, are to our existence. Without you, hopefully our future residents, we as Mayo Clinic would be diminished. I hope you experienced tonight all that Mayo Clinic has to offer. I hope what we share opens the door and allows you to begin to see the rich opportunities that await you here. I appreciate your time, and I sincerely wish all of you fulfillment, happiness, and a quiet pride in all your personal and professional achievements. Enjoy tonight, and thanks again for being with us.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Our next speaker is Dr. Michelle Lewis. She is the program director of our internal medicine residency, and she's going to share with you a little bit about COVID and Mayo Clinic in Florida.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. I know it's been a very stressful year for all of us for many reasons, probably on the forefront of all of your minds. How do you do residency training in the era of COVID-19? And I'm sure you've experienced lots of changes in medical school education that you never expected due to COVID-19. So we thought that you might like a few words about how we've handled this pandemic on our Florida campus. This is a map of Florida, and just to remind you where Jacksonville is, in the northeast corner on the eastern coast of Florida on the Atlantic Ocean. We have unfortunately been one of the biggest states hit by COVID-19 this year. We've had a total of 668,000 cases as of 2 days ago when I checked our website. We are logging about 3,000 new cases a day currently. We've had 12,787 deaths, which is about 150 a day. Duval County is the county where Jacksonville is located. And although we're the largest city in the state of Florida, the majority of the COVID-19 cases have been in South Florida. And as you can see by this map, we have been affected, but only about 4.3% of the state's cases have been found in Duval County or in Jacksonville. This slide has a lot of information on it and a lot of dates at the bottom, but what I really just wanted to point out to you is that we did have a large surge of cases this summer. After Memorial Day, we saw our peak here on the Mayo campus, where we had 69 positive cases. On our biggest day was July 7th. Those cases have gone down since then, as different protective measures have been put into place in our city. But we never know what's coming. We know that Labor Day was not so long ago. We know that a lot of bars and restaurants are reopening in larger capacity in our city. So we're always expecting more cases at any time. We have a drive-through testing site on our campus that's very active. And we have a COVID virtual clinic. So people who test positive on our campus and our patients, if they don't meet criteria to need hospitalization or ICU care, we follow them at home virtually with a team of doctors and nurses. They're given a home kit to check their temperature and their vital signs at home. And we talk with them every 1 to 2 days to see their progress during their disease and decide if they need to come into the hospital. Our residents have been involved in this, primarily family medicine and internal medicine. Our family medicine residents have been running a lot of the drive-through clinics and participating in these virtual clinics to follow patients at home. All of the patients who come into our hospital to be admitted are tested for COVID. We have 2 negative pressure wards in our hospital. So before we had many negative pressure rooms. Now we have 2 whole wards that are considered negative pressure wards. We have a dedicated hospitalist team who takes care of our COVID positive patients admitted with COVID symptoms. Residents in internal medicine and family medicine and other specialties started seeing those COVID positive patients in the emergency room and in the ICU around May, after they went through strenuous training in our simulation center for donning and doffing PPE and making sure the appropriate protective measures were in place. And our family medicine and internal medicine residents started admitting COVID positive patients that have other disorders that bring them into the hospital. So for instance, cellulitis or diverticulitis, but they happen to be COVID positive when they're tested. Those patients we started admitting in July. No visitors are allowed in our hospital or in our emergency rooms unless they have special permission. So for certain terminal illnesses or severe conditions, you're allowed 1 visitor, but overall, we try to limit visitors in our campus. Changes to resident education, what you're all interested in. Everyone is required to do online monitoring before they come in our hospital every morning. So we do a symptom check and you can do that from your smartphone and log in that you're okay to come to work. All of our conferences and didactic sessions have gone to the Zoom format. We don't have any meetings on campus of more than 10 people in person, and those meetings would be socially distanced and required to wear masks. Everyone's required to wear a mask on our campus, and we wear a face shield if you're seeing direct patient care. The Simulation Center, like I said, has sessions to practice donning and doffing PPE, and those are things that we had all of our brand new interns do during orientation when they started in July. Telemedicine is a fantastic opportunity to practice medicine in a very safe way in this era of COVID. And we've developed curriculums on our campus to teach everyone, all of us, the proper virtual visit etiquette, professionalism, how to do physical exams on virtual format. And for residency, you still are required to be supervised by faculty in the same way that you would be in person. And then we have to teach everyone how to do documentation and billing associated with virtual visits as well. So many things about the way we practice medicine have changed. This is just a diagram showing how intubations have changed. But any aerosolized procedures on our campus require special monitoring and special techniques to protect everyone involved. Our elective surgeries and procedures were on hold in the state of Florida by law from March 20th to about May 11th, but they're back now, and we're performing lots of surgeries and procedures on our campus. Rotations to some of our local nursing homes and community hospice have been suspended. Elective rotations with our Mayo International Health Program this year have been suspended because of COVID. And most national conferences where our residents present their research are now on virtual format. So our residents are becoming great at presenting virtual posters to these conferences. And we've tried to continue to have social meetings to promote collegiality, wellness, and that camaraderie that we love so much on our campus. We do Zoom trivia nights, Zoom dinners, Zoom happy hours, and we try to stay connected as best we can.
Thank you, Dr. Lewis. That was a great overview. And hopefully next year, we won't have to talk about COVID. So our next speaker is Dr. Colon Otero. He's a hematologist oncologist here on campus. He's also the Vice Dean of the Mayo Clinic Alex School of Medicine. And tonight he's going to talk to us about research opportunities here on campus. Dr. Colon?
Thank you, Dr. Mauricio. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to participate in this video Zoom presentation of the Mayo Clinic. Welcome to all the students who are participating here. As Dr. Mauricio said, I have the great pleasure and honor of serving currently as the Vice Dean of the Medical School. We have a campus of Mayo Medical School here in Florida where we have full-time students spending their third and fourth year with us from the Mayo Clinic, who you will be able to participate in their education. My topic is research. I have been at the Mayo Clinic now for, well, I first came to Mayo Clinic in Rochester 42 years ago, which is a long time ago, I know, as a visiting medical student, and I did all my training in Mayo in Rochester. But I've been here at Mayo, Florida now for 34 years. When we first started 34 years ago, there were only 32 of us down here, but now we are over 670 or so physicians and over 6,000 staff, and we have a true academic medical center that Mayo has developed here with the help of our patients. And that's the result of the great care our patients had received from all of my colleagues here. And for you, all of you who are considering coming to the Mayo Clinic, I would strongly encourage you to really give strong consideration to our campus and our programs. The collegiality that you will see here is incredible, is incomparable to any other programs. That's why most of us who start with Mayo end up staying at Mayo and having a career at Mayo. And that's why the institution has been so successful, because of the excellent care that we provide to our patients and because of our dedication to education and to research. So my topic with this brief Zoom presentation is actually research. And when we started here back 34 years ago, we were only 32 physicians. We didn't have research, but we knew that if we wanted to be a Mayo Clinic, we had to have a full research component fully developed, and that has happened at Mayo in Florida. We have basic scientists who are world-renowned, particularly in neurosciences and in cancer biology and in regenerative medicines. So these researchers, who are over 30, 35 of them, with their postdoc and PhD students, are carrying out their research in our basic research buildings here at our Mayo, Florida campus. And you'll have an opportunity to interact with them or to carry out basic science research with any of those programs as you develop it during your residency. And many of our residents actually do that. If basic science is not your interest, we have multiple clinical research programs available for you to get involved with. And those go from quality projects to individual case reports, or report of case series, or reports of the Mayo Clinic series. And you have access not just to the Mayo Clinic Florida patient population, but also to the Mayo Clinic Rochester and Mayo Clinic Arizona, where you can collaborate with colleagues at both campuses to evaluate and do studies on series of diseases, in any diseases that you'd be interested. And you could also be involved in clinical trials, which would be an incredible accomplishment, but we are involved in multiple clinical trials in multiple areas of medicine that you could be involved. Now, in addition to that, we are in Jacksonville, which is a very vibrant, young, very diverse city. of over 1,400,000 or so, 28% African American, 10% Hispanic, and a city that is growing, a city that has 2 Navy bases, and you can be involved in addressing the disparities in care that exist within our city. Mayo Clinic is very committed to addressing those disparities, and we have a very active, well-supported research program addressing those disparities that you can also be involved when you join us as a resident. So these are some of the programs that we have that we hope you will get involved once you join us. And again, I would like you to strongly consider joining us and becoming part of the Mayo Clinic family. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Dr. Colon. And I'm really glad that you mentioned the disparities work that you've been doing. I know you've done a lot in that front, but that segues very nicely to our next speaker, Dr. Beth Ladley. Dr. Ladley is the medical director for the Office of Diversity and Inclusion here on our Mayo, Florida campus. She's also the program director for our anesthesiology residency. So Dr. Ladley is going to talk to us about diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus here in Florida.
Thank you, Dr. Mauricio. I want to make sure everybody can hear me because it looks like my video hasn't switched, but I am Beth Ladley. I am the newly appointed medical director of our office of, we are now the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office. I think everyone on campus has decided that diversity is a little bit low of a bar for us to put it first in the title of our office. So we are the Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion Office. You've already heard Dr. Lewis talk a little bit about what training is like in a pandemic. But I think one of the reasons that I'm a panelist on this program is because you could pose that our second pandemic is the social justice revolution and disconcerting times that we're going through right now. So like the team atmosphere that Dr. Lewis and actually everyone on this call has mentioned, equity, diversity, and inclusion is not just a slogan for Mayo either. In fact, to the leadership at the highest levels of enterprise, and as you get indoctrinated into our culture, you'll understand that when we say enterprise, that means all of our 4 major campuses, Florida, Arizona, Rochester, and the health systems. All 4 of our campuses are involved in an endowment of $100 million over the next 10 years to really move the needle on all of the issues. To that effect, I'd pose you a question, which is, do you know what the healthcare disparities are in your own chosen field, in the field that you're about to start training in? Regardless of whether or not your answer is yes or no, I can assure you that it will be yes by the time that you finish training here. And in that time, you will have also had an opportunity to really move the needle and make a difference and diminish those healthcare disparities. The $100 million has big plans. It's going to be devoted to patients, staff, and learners. For patients, we want to make Mayo Clinic a welcoming environment. We want to make sure our studies are all inclusive of all people of all races and colors so that they're generalizable to the whole population. For staff, we want to make Mayo Clinic a welcome place to work. We want to attract people of all colors to work at our buildings. And once we have you inside our doors, we want to make sure that you have equal opportunity for promotion and maturing and developing your professional self and leadership opportunities. For the learners, it's much the same. So our first goal is recruitment. We want people of all different kinds of walks of life to feel comfortable training here. Once you get here, we want you to want to stay here. We want to change you from a trainee to a faculty member and an ambassador for our program. The Diversity and Inclusion Office has a few longitudinal programs that you could be involved in even from day one. Now, residency is one of the most busiest times that you'll have, so sometimes it's difficult to parse your time, and certainly no one would blame you for your out of work time belonging completely to you. But from day one, you're welcome to participate in either being a department diversity leader or a member or a leader of one of our merge groups. So a department diversity leader is really a person right in your department, right in the micro environment where you work, who can identify some of the challenges and therefore work on some of the solutions that are specific to specific areas. Emerge is a Mayo employee resource group, and we have 10 of those on campus. Many of them are designed to be sort of support groups and education groups for different cultures. There's a disability merge, there's a veterans merge. So meeting some of the needs of specific populations of our employees on campus. And you're part of those. You're invited to and encouraged to participate in those activities all year long. They do lots of heroes and celebrations, lots of education. There's an activity going on either on our campus or on our enterprise almost every hour of every day. So I just want to leave you with the thought that Mayo is really working hard towards making healthcare disparities part of our unpleasant history and something to put behind us. And you would be part of that effort immediately should you join a training program here. And I will see everybody who's interested in anesthesia in the breakout room.
Thank you, Dr. Ladley. Our next speaker is Dr. Vadibon Kaur. Dr. Vadibon Kaur is one of our emergency room physicians here on campus, and he's also the director of our Learner Wellbeing Council.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Mauricio, and welcome. Welcome to everybody. To start out, I just want to echo something that Dr. Johnson started with. The culture here at Mayo is truly exceptional and unique. I've been at Mayo for 14 years, don't plan to leave anytime soon or ever professionally. And largely in the early years that I was here, I was involved with research and the clinical practice in terms of leadership. And it's only been in the last couple of years that I've been involved as much as on the education side. And I've been totally struck and blown away, quite frankly, by the dedication of faculty in terms of education, just the passion to support our trainees and students. In terms of well-being more specifically, well, I don't know if you can be specific with well-being because it basically touches all aspects of trainee life. But Mayo has been dedicated to well-being since long before it was a thing, if you will, nationally, and certainly long before it was an accreditation requirement. For example, a few years ago, I was presenting at a national meeting. It was actually the first emergency medicine national conference on well-being, and the whole plenary, which was not delivered by someone from Mayo, was about the work that Mayo has done over the years in the realm of well-being. One of the things that Mayo has done, which is really cool, is that we have a scientifically validated tool to measure well-being. It's called the Well-Being Index, and we use it to anonymously measure the well-being across the campus, trainees and faculty, and also individuals can use it to sort of track their own individual well-being. Importantly, while we have leadership and representation supporting learners and trainees specifically on campus, we also have leadership supporting our staff in the realm of well-being. And why is this important? Because if the staff isn't well, if the staff doesn't have support, if the staff isn't aware of the importance of well-being, it will trickle down to you guys as the trainees. But on the trainee level, well-being, leadership, representation, focus really permeates through everything. Individual programs, nearly all, if not all, have well-being representation from trainees and faculty. On a national level, so the 4 main campuses, we have a GME well-being subcommittee that meets monthly that has representation from Florida. And on a local level, we have our Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science, which overlooks all the schools, the med school, allied health, the graduate school, and all the residents and fellows. And here's a picture of our council. So there's our council. It's a great group. It's grown every year recently. So suffice it to say, if you were to come to Mayo in Florida, you would be supported in your well-being. And if you have any interest in being involved in leading in the realm of well-being, there'll also be opportunity. And you can see here on the slide that we work very closely with our mental health counselors, with humanities and medicine. We work very closely with student services. And a huge ally is the MFA, the Mayo Fellows Association, which you'll be hearing from next. The council is basically trainee-led. So the idea is that we as faculty on the council are your advocates. So we facilitate bidirectional communication, if you will, between the trainees and the faculty, amongst other things. So some examples of things we've done in recent times, and these are always ongoing, they're always dynamic, but we've certainly been involved in the creation of social events, securing trainee spaces, so there's adequate space for you guys to get together, to convene. We facilitated gaps in COVID communication, although there haven't been many. We're having well-being check-ins. Our next council meeting will be reviewing unconscious bias and microaggressions. We're always updating access to mental health resources. And one of our recent projects, actually, which I think is fantastic, is called HELP, Healing the Emotional Lives of Peers. This is actually well established. It was born in anesthesiology, but it's well established on the staff side. So one of the elements of medicine is you're going to have difficult cases. It's just the nature of doing it, and it can be challenging. It can affect your well-being. So in this HELP program, our colleagues support each other. So we actually can get a brief training to learn how to support each other, and then we stand for our colleagues who might have had a difficult case. And we're going to be bringing this very soon to trainees. So the process of creating a well-learning environment is ongoing. It's always changing in order to meet the needs of our residents and fellows, but suffice it to say that there are many, many passionate people on campus who are very dedicated to our trainees' well-being.
Thank you, Dr. Vadebonkor. Our next speaker, we'll be hearing from one of our trainees. Dr. Megan Melody is currently a PGY3 internal medicine resident here on campus. She is also the president of the Mayo Fellows Association. So Megan tonight is going to share with us some information about resident and trainee life here in Jacksonville. But before you start, Megan, do you mind just mentioning what exactly is the Mayo Fellows Association?
Of course, thank you, Dr. Mauricio. So the Mayo Fellows Association is a group of residents and fellows who are elected by our peers to serve as representatives to the administration and faculty at Mayo Clinic, Florida, and enterprise-wide. And we also serve to foster collegiality, networking, and wellness amongst trainees on campus. So I'm going to speak to you a bit about trainee life here at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, Florida. But before I get going, I just want to say that I personally currently am interviewing for fellowship, and I understand how difficult it is in this time in the world of virtual interviews to really get an understanding of what programs have to offer. Every program that you interview with or that you visit is going to highlight the resources that its program and its community has to offer its trainees. But it's very difficult to get an understanding of how those trainees are actually able to participate in the amenities that its community has to offer. So in an effort to demonstrate how our community how I participated in our community, I have created a presentation for you only including photos that I have taken during my trainee life here at Mayo Jacksonville, especially since the pandemic. All right. So the first thing I want to highlight about Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville, or Jacksonville itself, is the access to beaches. So the hospital is centrally located in Jacksonville, and Jacksonville itself has 4 main beaches: Jacksonville Beach, Neptune Beach, Mayport Beach, and Atlantic Beach. Those are all in average about 4 miles from the hospital itself. Another thing I should make a disclaimer is that there is an excessive amount of sunset photos and sunrise photos in this presentation, but it's because Jacksonville has amazing sunrises and sunsets. So all of the beaches are, the main beaches are within about a 4-mile drive of the hospital, but there are additional beaches that are a bit further out. 2 of these photos actually were taken at sunrise after a night shift at the hospital on different occasions because it's so close by. And again, I do apologize for the amount of photos you're about to see of my husband and my dog. So Jacksonville is actually home to 400 city parks, 2 national parks, and 7 state parks. There are 9 major beautiful hiking and biking trails nearby that I wanted to highlight, but by hiking, I want to be honest with you, there are not a lot of hills or mountains, so these are mostly walking trails as depicted here in the photo of my dog. The one I'd like to highlight most is actually the Jacksonville Baldwin Rail Trail, which is over 14.5 miles of converted railway trail with Civil War history sprinkled throughout. A little bit north of Jacksonville and Amelia Island, there are Big and Little Talbot Island, which are again biking loops. And further out, my favorite spot is about an hour north of Jacksonville, just over the border, is a great place to do a day trip to Jekyll Island, which has 25 miles of biking trails, as evidenced by the handsome man in the red polo on a bicycle. That's my husband. In terms of waterways, Jacksonville has over 40 miles of intercoastal waterway and 10 major kayak launches within 15 miles of the hospital. And that's not even including smaller private launches or simply places that you've located where you can stick in a kayak or a canoe or an upright paddleboard. In addition, Florida is home to more than 700 springs, which according to many sources, but most importantly Wikipedia, is the largest conversion of freshwater springs on the planet. So I've actually highlighted a map here that shows the closest freshwater springs to Jacksonville. And these are photos on 2 different occasions of my husband and I kayaking in some of the freshwater springs located nearby. And once again, all these photos are since the pandemic happened. So restaurants and bars. Jacksonville is home to over 30 restaurants with greater than 4.5 stars on Yelp. So it is a foodie haven. But more importantly, since the pandemic, it is also home to over 20 rooftop bars and restaurants and 13 waterfront restaurants in Jacksonville Beach, which again is only 4.5 miles from the hospital. However, during the pandemic, faculty, staff, and my colleagues recognized how difficult it is as a resident to feel safe going outdoors during this time. And so one of the things that I think speaks to Mayo culture and climate is that the faculty, staff, residents, and fellows banded together to create a 5-page document of all of the best restaurants documented by or sorted by ethnicity of food or category of food in the local Jacksonville area that delivers to where most residents and fellows live. So like I said, this is a 5-page document, and this is just a snippet of the first page that you can witness here. And just another thing to speak towards the amazing food that's available in Jacksonville, if you take a look down in the bottom left-hand corner of these photos, that cinnamon roll and that maple bacon donut are actually part from a vegan bakery. Neither my husband and I are vegan, but those were the best baked goods we've ever had. And that's just from an all-vegan bakery available in Jacksonville. So I will do a disclaimer, these are all stock photos. However, just because I am not an amusement park junkie, I didn't want to deprive you of this information. So Jacksonville is also home to, or centrally located to, a lot of amusement parks and amenities. So Jacksonville itself has something called the Jacksonville Zoo, which I have visited, but unfortunately all of the pictures I had from there were of squirrel monkeys. So I included in the upper right-hand corner some pictures of some of the better attractions. Adventure Landing is a place for go-karts, miniature golf. There's a water park. It's great if you have little kids, but also if you just feel like being a kid yourself after your shift. And that's about 2 miles from the hospital. But then more importantly, for a day trip or a weekend trip, Disney World, Universal, Islands of Adventure, SeaWorld, those are all located in Orlando, just about 2 hours away from Jacksonville. And they all do offer a Florida resident discount. So if you live here, if you train here, you can go there. Jacksonville is also a place of history. So St. Augustine, which is the oldest city in the United States, is located about 45 minutes, I guess, south of Jacksonville or from the hospital, but it actually feels a lot closer because I utilize that resource a lot, as I know my colleagues do as well. So in the center, bottom middle picture here, that is actually St. Augustine on the week that Duval schools opened. So my husband and I did venture down to St. Augustine at that time to explore the restaurants and bars, once again, outdoors. But because schools were just opening, there was an ability to socially distance. Kingsley Plantation is another wonderful amenity of Jacksonville. It's a historic plantation about 10 minutes north of the hospital by ferry ride. It was built in 1797 and was transferred to the state in 1955. There are daily tours of this historic site. The Cummer Museum of Art and Gardens, I wish I could apologize, but it's a gorgeous sunset in the left-hand corner of this picture. And that is outside the museum. They have a series of gardens that are set up based on different cultures and time periods around the world. And then another amenity in the bottom right-hand corner, that very handsome man wearing his sea turtle mask, is a place that's not really of historical significance, but a really nice amenity of living in Jacksonville is a farm called Congaree and Penn. It is 4 acres of rice paddies and farms. During various times of the year, there's either grape picking or olive picking, and there's a restaurant and winery on site, and it's a really fun place to go with your co-trainees. So, every trainee salary for most programs are available online. You can look that up and they're all pretty comparable. However, in Jacksonville itself, that salary goes a lot further. So I know a lot of people don't talk about it, but I think it's important when choosing where you're training. Jacksonville is an affordable place to live. If you want to live close to the hospital in a really nice apartment, you can live somewhere within 4 miles of the apartment 4 miles of the hospital for about $1,200 a month. Documented in the right-hand corner is actually a picture of my friend's pool, her apartment complex. Like I said, no stock images unless there's a disclaimer. And like I said, those are a 1-bedroom apartment. You can afford to live there for about $1,200. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you want to live right by the beach, you can have a 2-bedroom apartment right on the beach for as little as $1,700 and upwards. And then the majority of the pictures on this screen, since I was trying not to use stock photos, are of my home. So once again, a beautiful sunset over the houses of our neighborhood, but you can afford to have a 3-bedroom spacious house about 15 minutes from the hospital for about $1,600 a month. In addition, the housing market is wonderful here. The bank associated with Mayo Clinic does offer physician loans. And so if you're interested in buying when you move here, I highly encourage you to look into that. Trainee space at Mayo Clinic Jacksonville is a priority from faculty and staff. Regardless of what training program you're going into, there are numerous workrooms for each program with individual cubicles per trainee, as shown in the right-hand corner of the slide, with beautiful views. So in the bottom right-hand corner, you'll see this picture. While scrolling through my camera roll to find pictures for this presentation, I did stumble upon this Snapchat that I sent my friends. No one paid me to send it, but once again, a beautiful sunset from the workroom. That's the type of view you get when you train at Mayo Clinic in Jacksonville. There's also ample conference rooms. Being the president of the MFA, we utilize this resource a lot. If you have an event you need to put on or a presentation you need to give, there's always a place to reserve. The Sim Center is another wonderful resource. I know Dr. Lewis touched upon that in terms of training our current residents on donning and doffing PPE, but it's a place where we can learn to do codes, as is documented in this left lower picture of my colleagues practicing a code. There are 2 trainee lounges, so you'll see soon on the campus tour that some of our buildings are a bit more spaced out. Most of them are connected with a covered walkway, but the 2 main buildings that residents and trainees reside in each have their own individual lounge, so you don't have to walk across campus to get to those resources. The medical library is centrally located and definitely a resource we utilize to just have a private computer and workspace or to pursue our research projects. And then something that I thought was really amazing when I got to tour here as a resident or as a medical student looking for residency is call rooms here are private. They're equipped with computers, TV, and a private bathroom, and their beds are often more comfortable than mine at home. So I know Dr. Colanatero already spoke to you about research, but I wanted to highlight how amazing I think the opportunities to pursue research here have been during my training. So I took pictures and purposefully positioned them so you couldn't see me because you've seen enough of me. But these are just some, like I said, I'm applying for fellowship. These are just some of the opportunities I've had to present at national conferences. If you pursue research, Mayo will support you in presenting that. Depending on the program, depends on just how many days and funding, days you get off and funding you have to attend these conferences, but there is opportunity to present research at national or international conferences. However, if you don't want to leave home, Mayo Clinic also offers residents opportunities to present within our own walls. So in the top center photo is actually a picture of my colleague presenting her research at the Mayo Clinic Trainee Research Day during Grand Rounds. And there's plenty of opportunity to present as a trainee at Grand Rounds every Wednesday at lunchtime. And then annually, we have something called the Value Symposium, which is where trainees and faculty get together to present their quality improvement projects that have been conducted at Mayo Clinic over the course of the year. Dr. Tyler touched upon wellness, and as a member of the MFA, we strive to support trainee wellness. So previously, before the pandemic, some of those events just were bonding with our classmates in the form of hockey games or shrimp games, which is a local baseball team, or happy hours. And obviously we've had to change our direction since the pandemic. So these are actual screenshots of flyers that have been sent out since the pandemic, and it's not all of them, of lunches and events that we have put on for residents and fellows during the pandemic. So we have selected local businesses. We want to support our local businesses and have supplied food for residents and fellows at different times of the day, whether breakfast or lunch, and we've tried to correlate those with lecture series. So most recently, we've been correlating them with diversity lecture series. So the Mayo Clinic in Rochester has actually started this initiative, Everybody In, and it was a Friday lecture series addressing systemic racism, both in medicine and nationwide. And so each Friday, we, like I said, selected a local restaurant and business and purchase food for all the trainees on campus to encourage them to log in and participate in this diversity training. Our faculty and staff also participate in something called Wisdom Rounds, and also another event called My Story. And these are events where faculty share their experiences with residents and fellows, and it really helps to foster a sense of community amongst our team. It really helps to see how your faculty and how your mentors have gotten to the place where they are in their career, and it makes the relationship a lot more relatable. So that is just a sample of resident life at Mayo Jacksonville. I really hope you train here. If you do, I know you'll love it as I have.
Thank you, Dr. Melody. And I'm gonna have to get in touch with you offline because I need to find out where the secret beach is. I just need to know. All right, so next we're going to share with you a tour of our campus. This is about 10 minutes in length, so we probably won't have a whole lot of time for question and answers after the tour. So save those for the breakout sessions. Again, I'll direct you to the breakout links at the end of the session here, but we'll proceed with that. Hopefully you'll get, even if you're not able to step foot on campus, at least you'll get to see the sites with this video.
Hi, I'm Dr. Margaret Johnson, a pulmonary and critical care physician at Mayo Clinic, and the Dean of Education at the Mayo Clinic College of Medicine and Science in Florida. I am so honored that you are considering Mayo Clinic for the next stage of your education, and I'm very excited to give you an overview of our Jacksonville campus. When you choose Mayo Clinic, you're not just choosing a place, you're choosing a community that will support and challenge you to reach your professional and personal potential. Mayo Clinic's primary value is that the needs of the patient come first. Our patients are central to all that we do, and guided by our core values, we continuously strive to advance medicine and science, all for our patients. Our culture is built on teamwork, innovation, and mutual respect. And you'll see that come to life the first day you set foot on our campus. No matter what your role, you'll join a collaborative team that treats the whole patient. We call this the Mayo model of care. This multi-specialty integrated approach to care doesn't happen at this scale anywhere else in the world. Our Florida campus opened in 1986, and we happily welcomed our first residents in 1990. Patient care is centered in a 5-building complex: the Mayo Building and Mayo Hospital, the Davis Building, Kennedy Building, and Mangurian Building. The nearby Griffin and Birdsall buildings are dedicated to basic science research. Our West Campus area includes the Sleep Center, the Hemodialysis Center, Community Hospice, the Gabriel House of Care for patients who are awaiting transplants, and the Hope Lodge for patients traveling to Mayo for complex cancer care. This is an incredibly exciting time to join us in Florida. We are growing rapidly. The Mangurian Building, opened in 2018, expanded our complex cancer, neurological, and neurosurgical clinical services. Immediately next to the Mangurian Building, we are planning to open an integrated oncology facility with chemotherapy infusion suites, radiotherapy, proton therapy, and a carbon ion particle therapy facility, which is the first in all of North America. In 2019, we opened the Discovery and Innovation Building to help our teams transform healthcare with innovative solutions for patients' needs. This building also houses a lung restoration facility and a human cell therapy facility. Education has been woven into the Mayo DNA since our founding in Rochester, Minnesota. Our founders, Dr. William Worrell Mayo, and his sons, Dr. Will and Dr. Charlie, invited physicians and students to visit Rochester and learn about their innovative medical and surgical practice. Visitors coming to observe talked about attending the Mayo's Clinic, and the name took hold. Appreciating the need for lifelong learning, the Mayos themselves traveled the world to enhance their own knowledge, establishing our culture of continuous learning. Today, our learning community in Jacksonville includes more than 500 students and trainees. We attract diverse learners from close to home, throughout the country, and around the world. You'll be alongside learners from other disciplines and other cultures in a tight-knit community where each individual is valued as their authentic self. Across Mayo Clinic, we have learners from all 50 states and 101 countries. Your instructors and mentors are active clinicians, researchers, and allied health team members. Our people really are what makes Mayo one of a kind. Oftentimes, you'll find yourself with the faculty who wrote the book or did the study. And true to our Mayo Clinic values, our faculty and instructors are accessible, collaborative, and most eager to help you succeed. Although our entire campus is a rich educational space, I want to point out a few highlights. Simulation and experiential learning are leveraged to foster your skills and confidence in a supervised, safe environment. These facilities in Florida comprise over 11,000 square feet and host over 2,000 sessions with learners each year, totaling nearly 38,000 hours of learning time with standardized human patients, task trainers, mannequins, and virtual reality experiences. For our residents and fellows, workrooms provide a home base during both inpatient and outpatient experiences. These are organized by specialty, so you can bond with colleagues in your area. You'll also have access to our modern lounge spaces and private call rooms with bathrooms and custom furnishings. Specific to radiology, we have comfortable state-of-the-art reading rooms with spaces for both individual and team-based work. Finally, all of our students and trainees enjoy our beautiful library space with study areas and professional librarians. We collaborate across campus and across the community and region, including with area medical centers. We work very closely with Nemours Children's Health System, Wolfson's Children's Hospital, and University of Florida Health for experiences to enrich our residency and fellowship programs. Our relationships with Georgia Tech and Florida State University give our learners diverse opportunities in biomedical innovation, research, and education. Research is central to our mission at Mayo Clinic as we strive to address the unmet needs of our patients. We focus on advancing scientific breakthroughs across the research continuum, from discovery in the lab, to translation through clinical trials, to application for broad use in clinical practice. Our physicians and scientists work side by side in a unique environment of team science to bring new solutions to our patients. In Florida, we have 60 basic scientists and more than 100 clinician researchers, and we spent more than $100 million last year to support our research activities. Our research activities span across all departments, with particular strengths in cancer, neurosciences, immunology, and regenerative medicine. We encourage a culture of innovation, empowering staff and learners to push the limits of what's possible, using new tools. You'll have many opportunities to get involved in projects that interest you, allowing you to publish articles, present at conferences, and apply for internal and external research funding. GME trainees can pursue our Clinician Investigator Training Program for additional years of dedicated research training. Jacksonville is a diverse community of over 900,000 people. It's the largest city in Florida, and with a median resident age of 36, it's the state's youngest major city. We're home to colleges and universities, major businesses, and several military bases. A city of this size has plenty of variety, so your life outside the hospital and clinic can be filled with whatever fits your lifestyle. On the water, you can try boating, stand-up paddleboarding, kayaking, or canoeing. If biking or running are more of your thing, you can check out the Mayo Bike Team or participate in one of the Mayo-sponsored athletic events, such as the annual 26.2 with Donna Marathon to finish breast cancer. Jacksonville maintains more than 400 parks and recreational sites, from trails to golf courses to nature preserves. The city and surrounding region offer a variety of music venues, festivals, theaters, museums, galleries, and so much more. For a long weekend or a week off, you can visit nearby Orlando or Tampa, or a little further away, Miami and Atlanta. Jacksonville is an energetic, growing city, a fantastic place to learn and to grow. I hope this overview has given you a sense for our campus, our culture, and our community. I joined the Mayo Clinic staff straight out of fellowship in 1996. I had not trained at Mayo, and at the time, I knew absolutely nothing about Mayo Clinic in Florida. In the 24 years since, I have been humbled and proud to be part of such an incredible organization. I sincerely hope you'll join us at Mayo Clinic in Florida.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed the video, and I'm hopeful that it gave you a taste of Mayo Clinic in Florida and all that we have to offer here. I really want to thank our panelists tonight for sharing their perspectives and why they're here and why we think Mayo is so great. But also I want to thank all of the over 450 of you who have joined. And please, I hope that you have a little more time this evening to join our breakout sessions. Again, we didn't get to all of your questions, but please save them for the breakout and we'll try to answer them as best as we can. If you go to the bottom of your screen in the chat function, there will be links for each program's breakout session. So you can go ahead and you'll get it, it'll pop up that you want to leave this session and join a new session. So go ahead and make that jump. And again, thank you all for joining us tonight.